You have your own motives, your own desires. And we have ours. I fear it really is just that simple. Sorry.
Number 8 on my list. It's kind of a special one because it's not just one character, it's actually 2 characters. But in this case, you really can't have one without the other because they're twins. Number 8 is none other than Devola and Popola. Devola and Popola don't have that much screen time throughout the Nier series, but honestly, I think they're my favorite characters. And I think it's strictly just because of their backstory and just how much they go through. I have so much respect for Devola and Popola as characters that they actually inspire me in some ways. My first Nier game was Nier Automata, and so in Nier Automata, you're introduced to Devola and Popola, but they're just androids. They're completely different Devola and Popola models than the ones in Nier Replicant. And so we got some of their backstory in Nier Automata, but you know, you don't really fully get to understand these characters until you go and play Nier Replicant. Even Nier Replicant, again, they don't have that much screen time, but I will say playing Replicant, I definitely got to understand them more, and I definitely understand their motives and why they did what they did. Because when I played Nier Automata, the game kind of tells you that, like, hey, the Devola and Popola models, they did something back then that completely just, like, screwed everybody. The people in Nier Automata hated the Devola and Popola models, and me, I was like, I have no idea why, but I want to find out. I got to play Replicant, and I got to actually see what happened before Automata, and like you get to learn actually how humanity goes extinct, and you get to actually see Devola and Popola in your Replicant, but it's a different Devola and Popola. And in Replicant, like, everybody seems to love them. Like, you know, they're basically like the village moms, right? They're taking care of the village. And so in my head, I'm like, what is it that these characters are going to do in this game that is going to make so many other characters down the line completely resent them? Like, what is it? Like, how is the game gonna actually make me dislike these characters? Long story short, there's a moment in Replicant where Devola and Popola actually betray you, and you find out that they are actually on the Shadow Lord side. And so, you know, your whole perspective throughout the whole game is like, okay, the Shadow Lord is the villain. You know, you're playing as Nier, you're trying to get your sister back who's been kidnapped by the Shadow Lord, but you don't know why the Shadow Lord kidnapped her and all this stuff. And then you find out that Devola and Popola have actually been on the Shadow Lord side the whole time, so you end up fighting them. And it's this whole thing, and it's super sad because Nier's like, Devola, Popola, like, you were like parents to me. You guys, like, I loved you guys. And so on the surface, it seems like they're the bad guys. And then, you know, whenever you're playing through Route A, it's like, okay, I understand now why people might have resented Devola and Popola, right? But here's the catch. Because I thought I understood the resentment that they got. Because I always thought it was something that they did that caused a bunch of these characters in Automata to resent them. But that's actually not the case once you play more of the game and do other routes. It's actually what they didn't do. Because you find out that you, as Nier, are actually the replicant of the Shadow Lord, which means, you know, I'm summarizing, of course, it's a little complicated if you've never played Nier, but the Shadow Lord is actually the original Nier, and then you are his replicant. So it's like, who's the real villain here? Who's the real main character here? And then you realize that, yo, Devola and Popola, the reason why they were actually siding with and protecting the Shadow Lord, who again is the original Nier, is because if the Shadow Lord were to be killed, humanity would be completely wiped out. And what's crazy is that's actually what happens. You play as Nier's replicant, and not only do you strike down Devola and Popola along the way, but you also strike down the Shadow Lord. And you have no idea that you just doomed humanity. Like, you as a player doomed humanity and had no idea because you were doing what you thought was right and they were doing what they thought was right. I made an entire video pretty much talking about Devola Popola and going into maybe some of the struggles and the burdens that they've carried with them as they were carrying out their role as administrators to the Gestalt program, which again, if you've never played Nier, it sounds complicated, but it's all in that video. I try to summarize it as best I can in the video, but I'll leave the video link in the description. I'll even maybe put it up top as well. Devola and Popola were doing what they thought was right. They were trying to prevent humanity from going extinct by stopping you, the player. And the reason why they are number 8 on this list is because they did what they thought was right and they were committed to it. They had this sworn duty to carry out their roles as administrators of Project Gestalt so that they can potentially save humanity. And whenever I actually got to know Devola and Popola more and study them a little bit, I have found such a deep admiration for them because these two are characters who they know what's right and they are going to stand up for what they think is right no matter the cost, whether it means receiving backlash from the replicants or the fact that they literally were carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. You know, such a heavy burden to be responsible for saving humanity. That would take a toll on me over time. But it's their resilience and their strength of heart to stand their ground and not completely give in to their feelings. Devola and Popola, I would argue, are the strongest characters in this whole series. Without a question. The stuff that they went through and the fact that, you know, it's only the two of them, right? I mean, there's other Devola and Popola models out there in other places, but like, it's just them two. And so, you know, if one of them dies, which is, you know, that it does happen, like they don't make it out of this alive. When one of them dies, the other one can't live without the other because like the responsibility that they're carrying is not meant to be carried out alone. Like you're not meant to do this alone. And that's like such a thing that hit me is like, you know, we're not meant to go through this life alone. You know, there's people who are in our corner that are willing to support us, you know, and it's, even if it might take a while to find that group of people, they're there, and people will help you and support you if you reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. They had a mission, and they carried it out to the best of their ability, but unfortunately they failed, and that's why in Automata, the Devola and Popola models are resented. It's not something that they did, but it's something that they didn't do. They failed. They failed to stop Nier. They failed to save humanity. But they did try. And they were committed. No matter what the cost was, they were ready to pay it if it meant saving humanity. They saw the big picture and they were committed to seeing their mission through to the end. I think these two characters are incredibly underrated. And I just admire their commitment to the cause and, you know, their duty, like their commitment to their duty to try to save humanity. And honestly, that's something that I want to take with me. I want to be someone who stands up for what I think is right, even in the face of opposition. And even if I go down with the ship, at least I upheld my beliefs and was committed to what I believed in. Devola and Popola truly inspire me to want to recognize the duty that I have set before me and to acquire the strength that I would need to carry it out. Whatever I'm doing, whatever I am standing up for, I want to be 100% committed to it, and I don't want to give anything less than 100%. And that's something that I'm truly going to take away. But these two characters really have inspired me to just want to be better, want to be stronger, and, you know, want to actually put my foot down. These two twins, they really do, it really does feel like that they have an impact on my life because it pushes me to not just be better, but to want to be stronger and to want to be more resilient, you know, in the face of opposition. I respect them. I respect them so much to the point where in the video game world where there's so many characters that have had an impact on my life and have inspired me, Devola and Popola land at the number 8 spot.